Aloha Ohana. I hope you're all having a great week. For those of you stopping by for the first time, hi, my name is Kai, and here on this channel we talk about all true crime cases that happen in the 808 state. So if you're interested in true crime and Hawaii, I highly suggest you join our Ohana, join our family, turn on all your notifications so that you don't miss any uploads. Before we jump into today's case, please remember that this video is intended to raise awareness. And also guys, as always, please remember that this channel is intended for viewers 18 years old and older. Today's case, we are going to be talking about a young child that does involve torture and murder. So for those viewers that are super sensitive against crimes against children, I mean, we all are, right? It's just sick in and of itself. But you know what I mean. Please go ahead and click out now. This is your warning. For the rest of you, let's just start from the very beginning. Kahealani Indreginal was born on October 18, 1991 to parents Lehua and Vincent Indreginal. Kahealani, she has a really long, beautiful name, and I don't even want to attempt, even though I'm Hawaiian, I'm not gonna even attempt. Came from a wonderful, loving family. She is one out of 8 children, and by all accounts, her family was very loving. They're very close, very nurturing, you know, just a big, local Hawaiian Filipino family. Kahealani was a 6th grade student attending Aiea Elementary School, and all of her family, teachers, and friends that she was really a model student and a perfect kid. One of those kids that, you know, wanted to go to school, enjoyed reading, enjoyed going to school, enjoyed learning. And her parents said that she was the type of kid that when she was sick, would actually pretend that she was feeling better so that she could go to school. I mean, come on, this girl, yes. Kahealani loved to dance hula. She loved music. She wanted to be a fashion designer when she grew up. And, you know, everybody described Kahealani as a really, even though she was a quiet family girl, she was a very sweet girl, very nice girl, very loving, full of life, you know, just very vibrant, bright, beautiful young girl. And, you know, everybody just had really good things to say about Kahealani. She was an 11-year-old girl that really was a force to be reckoned with. I mean, even though she was quiet, you know, she was very like one of those girls that are like, you know where they stand, who they are, have this great personality, and like, you know, brightens up the room and just kind of livens up the place. Kahealani, you know, had no problems at school. She would go to school Monday through Friday, and she was one of those kids that would just come straight home. She wasn't really one to, you know, wander or really go off with anybody that she didn't know. So on Tuesday, December 10th, 2002, when everything really went upside down, when Kahealani went missing, it was a really big shocker to her family and to the community. On Tuesday, December 10, 2002, Kahealani and a friend of hers stepped off of the school bus outside of the Pu'uwai Momi housing complex. The two girls then went to a nearby lunch wagon and bought some manapua. After that, the two girls walked to the complex, and then when they reached to Kahealani's friend, I'm sorry, I don't know her name. When they reached to her friend's townhouse unit, that is when the two girls split off and went their separate ways. But unfortunately, Kahealani would never return home. At the time of Kahealani's disappearance, her parents, Lehua and Vincent, were actually in Wahiawa with Vincent's mother, so Kahealani's grandmother. They were at her home visiting her. Now that evening, before the parents were on their way home back to the housing complex, they stopped over at Kmart to pick up this Christmas tree that Kahealani had specifically asked for. Now at the time, Kahealani's parents left Kahealani in the care of her 17-year-old older brother. That Kahealani's older brother, again, he's 17 years old, he thought that Kahealani was with his parents. When the parents reached home that night around 10 o'clock p.m., that is when everyone noticed that Kahealani was not home and that she was missing. So everybody started to look for her. Now again, it was 10 o'clock p.m. that night. So it was pretty late, and Kahealani's father, Vincent, said that, he didn't want to go and knock on everybody's door at, that late in the night. He said that some of his children did knock on the neighbors' houses. They went around the complex, door to door. And he said that not everybody answered. Again, it's late at night. People are sleeping, people are watching TV, they don't hear the door, yada yada. Vincent would later say that he wished that he had called the police right away. But, he didn't want to think the worst. And he thought maybe that Kahealani was at a neighbor's house, or maybe that she was at her uncle's house in Aiea. But then again, everyone in the family knew that Kahealani wasn't the type of girl that would wander off. She wasn't a runaway because she loved her life, she loved her family, and that she wouldn't go, strangers. She wouldn't go with anybody that she didn't know. She wasn't that type of girl. Statistics do show that the first 2 hours of a missing child is the most critical time. And I could see why Vincent regrets, well, I shouldn't say regret. I don't know if he regrets, but wishes that he had called the police right away instead of waiting until the next morning. He called the police Wednesday morning, December 11th at 8 o'clock a.m. and reported Kahealani missing. When the police were notified that Kahealani was missing, they really wasted no time in setting up search efforts. On Wednesday, the police swarmed into the neighborhoods. They interviewed Aiea Elementary faculty and students. They searched the housing complex grounds. They talked to neighbors. They really, they went to work. Crime Stoppers put out a public plea. There was a $10,000 reward from an anonymous donor for information leading police to Kahealani's safe return. Police set up a command center to coordinate search efforts in the area. There was about 40 police officers and 3 search dogs. They also used the helicopters above to search the area. Police, they pulled out all the stops. The police were very dedicated in this search and very dedicated in finding Kahealani and bringing her home safe to her family. Homicide Lieutenant Bill Cato said, and I quote, "We start with people close to the family, acquaintances, friends, and move on through a process of elimination," end quote. Police went door to door. They even checked the Halawa stream. Police checked manholes. They checked dumpsters. They checked the fields for clues. They checked mountains. They checked trails above Halawa Heights. The police were looking for 11-year-old Kahealani. She's described as Hawaiian Filipino. She was 5'2", 110 pounds with a slim build. She had brown shoulder length hair and brown eyes. At the time of her disappearance, she was wearing a beige corduroy long sleeve shirt and beige corduroy pants. And she also was wearing her gold Hawaiian bracelets. Something like she had 5 on one arm and then 4 bracelets on the other arm. Now these Hawaiian bracelets, I've read that Kahealani wore them every single day and she was very proud to wear them. These were gifts from her parents and from her family. Now, while the police are searching for Kahealani, they're doing a lot of things simultaneously. They're searching for Kahealani. So police end up talking to a whole bunch of people, okay? And, they're talking to this person, they're talking to that person, they're talking to the neighbor, they're talking to the family friend, they're talking to the auntie, to the uncle. And what happens is that police stumble upon 17-year-old Leava Puhi Hunter, if I'm saying that correctly. And now what Lei has to say is a very big clue for police. And this is what Lei tells police. Lei tells police that she saw Kahealani on Tuesday afternoon, okay, the last day that Kahealani was ever seen. She saw Kahealani Tuesday afternoon sitting calmly in a passenger seat of a blue Dodge neon car. And Lei says that the driver of this blue Dodge Neon car is Christopher Aki. Now, Christopher Aki is Kahealani's older half-sister baby daddy or boyfriend or fiance. Okay, I know they were talking about getting married. And Lei also says that she thought it was weird and strange that Kahealani was with Christopher in the car and Tanya, which is Kahealani's older sister, Christopher's girlfriend, baby mama, stay with me here. She thought it was odd that Tanya wasn't in the car with Kahea because, according to Lei, Kahealani doesn't go anywhere with Christopher if Tanya isn't there. And Christopher, he doesn't come around the complex without Tanya. So Hunter thought that was equally weird. Hunter also said that she saw a third person sitting in the back seat of this blue Dodge Neon, but she could not see the face. She didn't know who it was. Now, another big clue that Hunter gives to the police is that Hunter claims that Chris uses ice. He's an ice head, a meth head. He uses drugs. And that Chris has a big drug debt to drug dealers. He owes some drug dealers a lot of money. Hunter also says that in all the years that, she's seen Christopher, she has never seen Christopher get angry or violent or scary. He was very, quiet, nice, polite, not the type of person that you would expect to be violent towards Kahealani. By all accounts, Christopher and Kahealani knew each other, very well. They were very close with one another. They were very fond of each other. Now again, Chris is dating Kahealani's sister. So, they know each other very well. So police are finding all these things out about Christopher Aki. So they ask him to come down to the station. And Christopher ends up going to the station Friday morning to answer some question, and then he goes in again Friday afternoon. A man by the name of Kenny Williams is a professional photographer. He had heard about Kahealani on the news, and he wanted to help. So Kenny, he pulls out a map. He looks for isolated areas. Now Kenny knew all the places where the police were searching and had looked for, and didn't come up with any. Kenny picks a spot in the Aiea Loop Trail. And Kenny decides to go there and look for Kahealani. I mean, that's how much this weighed on his heart, that he wanted to help. So Kenny, he gets into his car and he drives to Aiea Loop Trail. Now, when Kenny gets to, the entrance of the park, he drives through the park and he's passing a lot of parking lots, and he doesn't stop. He keeps driving until he notices a small parking lot. So Kenny goes to this parking lot, he parks his car, and he gets out of his car and he walks to the trailhead. Now Kenny, he notices a swarm of butterflies on the smaller trail, and he took it as a sign that he should go on that trail, versus the other trail. So Kenny goes on the smaller trail. When he's on that trail, he sees a small glove lying in the middle of the trail that caught his eye. And apparently this glove the glove's fingers are positioned pointing into a direction. And again, Kenny takes this as a sign. So he follows where the glove is pointing, towards or at. He goes in that direction. Again, he's taking it as a sign. He's letting these things that he sees on the trail and in the park guide him. Kenny into a direction, like looking over a small lookout. Kenny is about to turn around and leave. He hears a bunch of chickens clucking and scurrying, okay? And he turns around to look at these chickens, and when he turns around and looks, he finds Kahealani's body. He picks up his cell phone and he calls the police around 1:59 p.m. Kenny Williams would later say that it was divine intervention that led him to Kahealani's body. Kenny said that from his house to finding Kahealani's body, He didn't make any stops. He didn't make any turns. I mean, it was just, like you said, divine intervention. Bim, bam, boom. And it took him about 30 minutes altogether. From the time he left his house to the time he found her body. Now, at the same time as Kahealani's body is being found by Kenny Williams, being called into the police, what's happening also is that the police are questioning Christopher Aki because rumors are, the Coconut Wireless is coming in saying multiple people have seen the blue Dodge Neon, which belongs to Christopher Aki, Kahealani in it that Tuesday afternoon. Now, Friday morning and Friday afternoon, Christopher is questioned and interviewed by police. Friday night at about 8:40 p.m., Christopher Aki is arrested and he is charged with one count of second-degree murder. He is brought to Oahu Community Correctional Center and his bail is set at $5 million. Christopher Claiborne Aki, he was about 20 years old at this time, and like I said, he had recently lost his job, his car had got stolen, and then he was getting into ICE. He owed, allegedly, he owed a huge debt to drug dealers. So word on the street was that he had taken Kahealani that afternoon because he wanted her 9 Hawaiian bracelets. He wanted to get them off of her arm. He wanted to sell them, pawn them, whatever, or give it directly to the drug dealer, who knows, to pay off his debt. That was the word on the street. Everybody found out that Christopher Aki was arrested for Kahealani's murder. The whole community was shocked. Family, friends, neighbors, everybody was shocked because, like I said, Christopher was Kahealani's older half-sister's fiance, boyfriend, baby daddy. He was holding signs with the family, offering comfort and support while they were searching for Kahealani. And the whole time, he knew that she was dead. He knew exactly where she was, what had happened to her, but then he stood there and pretended like he didn't. And to me, that is a slap in the face and is so disrespectful. Anyways, I'm going on a tangent as usual. Kahealani was found. She was fully clothed. She was wearing that beige corduroy shirt and the beige corduroy pants. Her 9 Hawaiian bracelets was gone. She did have her gold necklace and her earrings left on her body. An autopsy was done on Kahealani, and the medical examiner reported that Kahealani died of head and neck injuries. Basically, whoever did this to Kahealani wanted those gold Hawaiian bracelets. When Christopher Aki was arrested, apparently he confessed to being the only person responsible for Kahealani's murder. But he would later recant that confession, and then he blamed it on Kahealani's uncle Dennis. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But I want to say, when Christopher talked to police, he told police that he had punched Kahealani, and that after he punched her, he continued to beat her outside of his car with a metal pipe that he had found in the parking lot. Christopher tells police that he stops and he goes and washes his hands with some water that he had in his car. Christopher said that when he went back to Kahealani and realized that she was sitting up and still alive, he beat her a second time with the metal pipe and poked her in the stomach. Apparently, Christopher had picked up Kahealani at the complex, and before they went up to the Aiea Loop Trail up to the park, they stopped at a fast food restaurant and picked up some food. Now, Kahealani did have defensive wounds on her, meaning that she fought back, which, is always, I don't know, the word is not good or nice thing to hear. I don't know what the word is, but a little bit satisfying is the word I guess I should use. It's a little bit satisfying to hear when a victim has defensive wounds, because you know that they try to fight back. Now, Tanya Mamala Tumbaga, again, Kahealani's older half sister that was dating Christopher at the time, and they have a child together. I don't know. I think they might have 2 children together. Anyway, Tanya would later say in a news article that she believes someone else was there helping Christopher. And the reason why she says that is because she doesn't believe in her heart that Christopher is capable of doing something like that. First of all, she also said that Kahealani was stronger than Christopher, and that whenever Kahealani and Christopher would spar, like spar, Kahealani's strength, she would always pretty much beat Christopher and pin him down, or she was just stronger than he was. So Tanya didn't believe that Christopher did this by himself. And my opinion with that might have been true. Kahealani probably was stronger than Christopher, because if you see him, he's this little wimpy guy. Not to say skinny wimpy guys aren't strong, but knowing Kahealani, I've heard she's, feisty, just like her mom, and she's a fighter. But what I have to say to that is sparring in a controlled environment is different. Because I'm thinking, Kahealani, and now if Christopher has a metal pipe, he's got a weapon, right? So of course he has an advantage. But Kahealani was probably caught off guard. Like, of course she didn't think that her bracelets would be stolen by her sister's boyfriend. She trusted him. I mean, she knew him, They were like ohana. They were like family. I mean, she got into the car with him. So of course she didn't think this was going to happen to her. So she's caught off guard. 1, she's caught off guard. 2, he's got a weapon. So regardless if, she's stronger than him, which she probably was, it's just the circumstances that she was put in, the environment that she was put in. She wasn't given the opportunity to fight back. I mean, you know what I mean? Like I said, if you're caught off guard and you don't have a weapon and the other person has a weapon, and she was probably in a state of shock. Like, I cannot believe he's doing this to me. And another thing I have to say, and this is just my opinion, don't come for me, is that at the time, Tanya was dating Christopher. So maybe she's a little clouded, maybe she's in denial. They do share a child together. She was going to marry this person. Or maybe she can't accept, who Christopher is. Sometimes when people do ice, they do meth, they have like this human strength. They have this superpower. And they're stronger. I don't know why, but I've seen it in many different stories before. But again, if Christopher is doing ice, he's doing meth, he's doing drugs, he owes drug dealers a lot of money. People put in desperate situations will do terrible things. So that's my opinion with that. Patricia Aki, who is Christopher's mother, is shocked that her son is arrested and could be the person responsible for Kahealani's murder. She said that her son has never been violent and adores Kahel. Patricia also says that she used to be concerned and worried that Kahealani's bracelets would be stolen, and that there were other events where people tried to steal Kahealani's bracelets from her. Now, at the time of Christopher's arrest, again, like I said, Tanya was very upset at HPD. She said that they're not doing their job properly. She believes that Christopher had help. She said that, HPD, they should be detectives. They should be doing their work, finding these other people. When Christopher was arrested, he confessed to murdering Kahealani, but then he recants that confession, and he ends up trying to put the blame on Kahealani's uncle Dennis. His story was that Kahealani had confided in him that her uncle Dennis was touching her inappropriately. And so he had brought the Uncle Dennis and Kahealani up to the state park, Aiea Loop Trail, to confront the uncle. Christopher said that when they got up to the park, Kahealani's Uncle Dennis became very angry at Kahealani and told her and asked her why she was telling those lies, and ordered her to get out of the car, and that he was the one that beat Kahealani to death. And that Uncle Dennis told Christopher, you didn't see anything, you don't know nothing, don't say anything. And Christopher said that he did not say anything because he was afraid of what Dennis would do to him and his family. That's the story that Christopher came up with later. A lot of people, and like I said, Tanya including, believes that Christopher is more of a follower and not a leader, and that, he's too weak to pull off something like this. Now, I've already said my opinions about people and when they go on drugs, especially ice, and they have these drug debts to these big time drug dealers and people that are put in desperate situations. Now, Kahealani's mother, she believes that Christopher is responsible for Kahealani's murder, that he acted alone, it's only him, and that her brother has nothing to do with it. A lot of people believe that Kahealani's uncle has nothing to do with it, and that Christopher was just trying to pass the blame. This case does go to trial. If you guys can make sense for me, leave me a comment down below. They charged Christopher with second-degree murder for Kahealani's death, okay? The circuit court jury finds him guilty of manslaughter, which is a lesser charge. It's a different charge. If they made a deal with him or what, he is sentenced 20 years in prison. At the trial, he does try to apologize to Kahealani's family, and a lot of the family members do not accept his apology because they feel like, how could he do this to her? How could he do this to, family per se? And how could he just stand there and try to comfort her grandma and say, oh, don't worry, grandma, she's gonna come back. But the whole time he knew exactly where she was and what happened to her. So it's really a slap in the face for the family. So I can understand and see why the family doesn't accept his apology. Christopher was sentenced to 20 years in prison by Circuit Judge Virginia Crandall. Now this was back, it's almost been 20 years. So he's probably due to be coming out of prison very soon here. If he's not already out, he's probably due to come out in 2022 or 2023. So that would be very interesting. As of when this case was happening and the trial took place, Kahealani's 9 Hawaiian bracelets were never found. Christopher Aki said he threw them in the trash. Oahu pawn shops were searched. It was never found anywhere. Also, that metal pipe, the murder weapon, was never found. Aki said that he threw the Hawaiian bracelets away in the trash, which why would you do that? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. You kill someone and you rob them because you want the bracelets, and then you throw it in the trash. I don't know if I believe that story. Maybe he buried it. Now, at Kahealani's celebration of life, more than 550 family and friends and supporters attended. A lot of Kahealani's classmates were there, comforted one another, and they presented a beautiful slideshow of Kahealani's life overhead, played with Hawaiian music in the background. Kahealani Indreginal is survived by her parents, Lehua and Vincent Indreginal, by her brothers Kavika Mamala Tumbaga, Alika Tumbaga, Keola Tumbaga, Keahi Mamala Indreginal, and Kaneki Indreginal, and her sister Kuini Indreginal, and her half-sister Tanya Mamala Tumbaga, and her grandmother Segondina Indreginal. Now this was in 2002, so of course things might have changed since then. Alright guys, that's all I have for you today on this case. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you guys soon. Bye! Bye!